Alright, so our pump's more or less back in there. Just the bolts are done up loose, so I haven't done any of the fuel lines or anything yet. Taking the rocker cover off. I'm going to do the valve clearances while I'm in here. So we've got it back. Make sure our timing marks are all good. So we've got that top dead center there. That little dot point on the camshaft is facing the pointer, meaning it's top dead center at cylinder 1, and this is our fuel injector pump timing mark there, and that goes on the little point on the bolt hole on the back of the timing case there. So looking at the head, just here next to this sensor there's an A, so that means the timing for this engine is going to be at 7 degrees after top dead center, and we're looking for 1 millimeter of movement at that point on our tool that we've put in the back of the timing pump. So in order to do that, we want to turn the engine backwards, so counterclockwise 30 degrees from top dead center. That's for this engine. So you can either mark the crankshaft, the wheel, the pulley, or we can use our tool and we can take it from top dead center and turn it backwards until the needle comes to a stop. That will be like the low point on the cam. So that's an easy way to do that. So I'll see if I can set this camera up so you can see the dial indicator. So our engine's currently at top dead center on cylinder 1. So I'm going to start turning it backwards. Our 19mm nut on there. So you see the dial indicator starting to go backwards, and right there is where it stopped. So at this point we can zero our gauge. So that's zeroed, and now I'm going to turn it back to 7. So we're looking for 1 millimeter, which will be 1 full rotation on that gauge. So you can see it's at half of where it needs to be. So what we're going to do now is rotate the pump. So if you rotate the pump clockwise, it will go down. If you rotate it counterclockwise, it will go up. So that's spot on 1 there at 7.5 after top dead center. So to confirm that, I'm going to turn it backwards. Well, first I'm going to get in here and tighten these bolts so it doesn't shift. I'll just move the camera out. So I've just tightened that nut up. So I'll move the crankshaft back until that stops. So it stopped there. And now I'll rotate the crankshaft again until we get to 7.5 after top dead center, which is there. So we see it's gone back to 0, so that's 1 full rotation, or 1 millimeter, so that's spot on. So now I'll tighten up all those other bolts, and then I will test it again just to make sure nothing shifted, and then we can continue bolting everything back on. So with the injector pump all set up there, all the bolts are tightened down so it's nice and stiff in there. It's not going to move around. I've taken the tool out, put the plug back in, put the injector lines on, and I've just left these ones loose where they go into the injectors to help when we prime the pump. So to prime the pump, you're just pressing down on this bit here and then you're letting it come up. So start off with the fuel, where the fuel line comes out there, pump it till the fuel comes out that line, put that on, and then you're going to tighten that up and then pump it until fuel comes out the overflow of the pump, which on this one is there's all hoses at the back here, so there was no nut to loosen them off or anything. It just automatically has a return line, it seems. And then the final bit of bleeding will be you have these loose and you crank the engine until fuel starts spraying out, and you can tighten those up. So before we do all that, we'll do the valve clearances. So I've got the engine at top dead center, cylinder 1, and our measurement on those valves there is 0.15 of a millimeter. So you can alter that depending on the oil you run and all that. So you sort of want it to be not noisy, but don't want it too tight. So ready to go with that one. So when it's at top dead center, cylinder 1, we'll do the first, the second, skip one, and then the fourth and fifth. And then we're going to rotate the crankshaft one full rotation, and then we'll do the remaining 4 from there. So we're just going to need our feeler gauge, of course, screwdriver, and then I think there's a 12mm nut on the top. You want to make sure you can't lift that, but that the feeler gauge is nice and smooth in there. Just tight but not dragging. That's a little bit too much there, perfect there. So put your spanner on, lock that in place, and then tighten that lock nut. And then we continue on with the, so we do the first, the second, the fourth and the fifth. So inlet and exhaust are all the same. Rotate the engine over and then we'll do the second set. So we're just making another one full rotation of this crankshaft. So just coming up now. So now we're at top dead center again. You can see our mark on the camshaft is 180 degrees out. So those ones have gone tight. We'll have our third, our seventh, or our sixth, seventh and eighth. So our third, our sixth, seventh and eighth can be done now, same as the first set.